Good day to all. Welcome to Extreme Recap. Extreme Recap. At the beginning of the movie. After 10 years in the maximum security prison in Korny, Russia, a professional Russian prison fighter escapes. He glances back when he used to partake in unlawful battles. Kashmir, another professional prison fighter who is well known for killing his opponents, is shown to us in the prison where the film takes place. He is taken to the underground prison ring, where both prison guards and viewers wager on his success. As Kashmir gets ready for his match, the security guards free him from his handcuffs. The fight begins when his rival gives him a blow, yet it just unsettles Kashmir's hair, because he is twice as tall as his rival and after that, he grabs his opponent and thumps him to the ground, instantly killing him. While this is going on, Boycott goes to a church. The priest there tries to persuade Boycott to stop fighting because he is now one of its most well-known contributors. However, Boycott believes that everything he does is guided by God. He doesn't think he's doing anything wrong and thinks that God has given him the ability to fight. Boyka rehearses in a nearby exercise center. At the point when his administrator, Hero, illuminates him that he can satisfy Boyka's desire to turn into an authority mima. The manager assures him that he has access to a legal fight that would allow the winner to compete against Budapest's official MMA fighters. Boyka says that when he hears this, he feels happy and confident about winning. The supervisor then, at that point, uncovers that Blacklist's rival is Victor, a dangerous Russian contender. Due to his tenacity and quick moves, he has barely lost games. The fight begins in the following scene, when both fighters demonstrate their exceptional fighting abilities. They fight evenly until Victor is knocked out by Boyka's knee to the face. Victor fights valiantly to get up, but Boycott incapacitates him quickly, forcing him to stay down and give up the fight. Be that as it may, this, as well, doesn't stop Victor, as he stands up one final time, just to be beaten by Blacklist. Victor then falls oblivious in the ring, prompting his loss. Boycott sees Victor's unconscious body being carried away on a stretcher shortly after the fight. After that, two men come up to Boyka and congratulate him. The men additionally illuminate him that he will be partaking in the global field following 14 days. The manager gives Boycott some cash and congratulates him on his accomplishment after a while. Nevertheless, our protagonist's brutal treatment of his opponent makes him appear distraught, even after dark. He can't rest pondering something very similar. The following day he inquires about Victor and is shocked to learn that he died from injuries. Crushed, Boyka quickly asks, assuming Victor has remaining family members left for him too. The administrator would rather not uncover anything. But he mentions that Victor has a wife named Alma after a little bit of insisting. She is presently living in Russia alone. Meanwhile, as Alma attends her husband's funeral, we see her in mourning. There is likewise an obscure-looking person present, with his guardians. Following the funeral, Alma is approached by a man who looks suspicious and turns out to be a boss of the mafia. He is named Zurab, and he tells her that her husband owes him a lot of money. Alma guarantees that she will work and bring in the cash to pay him. Zurab, on the other hand, insists that she was his employee in his underground fighting club. As requested, the Boycott manager gives him a fake passport elsewhere. He then advises Boycott to avoid conflict in Russia. Boyka's arrival in Russia is shown in the following scene. He rushes to a community center to see Alma. Be that as it may. Before he can converse with her, Zorab men take her in their van. Blacklist later finds her in Zorab Battling Club, where she fills in as a server. He glances around and discovers that it's an unlawful battling club where observers bet on their warriors. In the wake of understanding that Alma has been working for Zurab, Boyka approaches her. However, he is quickly expelled from the club by Zurich bodyguards. Angrily, he thumps the gatekeepers. Zurich shows up at the scene after a while and is impressed by the Boycott fighting skills. He offers our hero to battle for him. However, Boycott declines, claiming that he is only there to find Alma. Zura tells Boyka that only he is permitted to speak with Alma, just like everyone else in the city. After hearing this, Zura is furious. She also belongs to him. After that, the mafia makes a threat against him, telling him that if he ever talks to Alma, his men will come after him and beat him up. Without a choice, Boycott calls it quits because he no longer wants to fight anyone. Yet again the next day, he goes to the public venue and gives Alma the letter, which Victor had composed for her. After that, Boycott inquires if Zurab is harassing her. She informs him that Victor is her husband. Was obligated to Zura, and presently she's attempting to cover the obligations for his sake. Boyka chooses to confess all and uncovers that he was the person who had thumped Victor oblivious, and in the long run he surrendered to his wounds. He likewise gives her some help, cash. Alma becomes enraged at him after learning the shocking truth. She throws the money in his face as she starts to cry hysterically. After that, she tells him to leave as soon as possible. That evening, Boycott makes a deal at the Zurich club. He will battle for him in return for Alma's opportunity. The mafia boss agrees, but he places numerous stringent conditions on it. With Boycott's rules and his main opponent, Igor Casimir, set in the final match, he will have to fight 3 matches in a row. After the understanding closes, Boyka is driven by Slava, one of Zurab monitors, to a neighborhood rec center to prepare himself for the impending battle. Yet, the warriors there mistreat him one day while showing up at the exercise center to prepare. A person strides in front of him and ceaselessly insults him. Boyka is so enraged by this that he hits him once and knocks him out, leaving the other fighters in a daze in the evening. His first fight starts, and he wins by technical knockout over his opponent. But Boycott stops beating him because the fight is over before he could give the final glimmer. After the match, when Alma gives Boyka a drink, she reluctantly accepts his invitation to the community center in the evening after he inquires about a different location for training. The second game begins. But a lot to avoid. He has to face 2 opponents. Surprise. The Azura of siblings. He initially objects. Zura, on the other hand, insists that he is the boss there and tells the crowd that he alone sets the rules. Soon after, the brothers' fight begins. Against Boyka, they rely heavily on their numerical advantage. Our protagonist, on the other hand, is no slouch either. He defeats the 2 by way of 2 knockouts, ultimately winning the fight with his experience and dedication. After the match, he gladly accepts Alma's offer to give him a back massage. Booker demands that she leave the town while they're still at it. However, she declines politely. She says that the children in the community center will join gangs or something if she leaves. In the interim, Zura visits Shauna's maximum security prison. He then payoffs the officials there to get the scandalous warrior Kashmir out of the jail. It turns out that Zura intends to utilize Kashmir in the ring to defeat Boycott. The following morning, the manager of the Boycott calls him to inform him of the upcoming tournament in Budapest. Boyka makes the promise that he will make it to the next scene, even though time is running out. The final match has begun, and Boycott is prepared to fight his final opponent. The 2 begin the fight on an even playing field. But when the opponent manages to strike Boycott and injure his back, it quickly escalates into a heated brawl that renders the other man helpless. Boyka, on the other hand, perseveres once more and eventually prevails. As a result, he defeats his opponent with 2 head blows that result in his victory. Alma bursts into tears because she believes she is now free. However, little does she or Boyka realize that the match is not even close to finished. Boyka is stopped by Zurab, who informs him that he must face Kashmir, his champion, as he goes to his locker to pack for Budapest. Boyka, of course, disagrees. But Zurich tells him to take it because he won't be able to free Alma. Boyka doesn't do as said. Boyka calls his manager and informs him that he will be late for the Budapest international match because he has no other option. After that, he accepts the challenge and stands in the ring waiting for the last match. Kashmir arrives at the club shortly after the start of the final match. Boyka is repeatedly defeated by the notorious prison fighter, who first knocks him out cold with a knee strike and then thumps his injured back on the floor. Fortunately, not long from now before the 10th count, serious areas of strength for the Boyka figures out how to get up and battle. Yet again as the battle advances, Kashmir pummels, blacklist, harmed back, letting him remain cautious for a moment. Despite this, Boycott continues and refuses to give up. This time, he embraces another procedure against his a lot more grounded rival, which is catching. During the scuffle, with a leg lock and an arm bar, he hurts Kashmir's left leg and breaks his left arm, making Kashmir vulnerable. In the end, Boycott prevailed, knocking his opponent out of the ring with an aerial kick that rendered him unconscious. Boyka cannot, however, join his manager on his trip to Budapest. Despite the fact that Boyka won the fight, Zurab rejects their arrangement. The mafia supervisor then, at that point, gets Alma and sends 2 of his men to beat Boyka. Boyka is unconscious for a while, but he soon gets up and goes after the guards of the mafia. Zurab has had everything, so he starts shooting Boyka in the arm. However, Zurich's men are each fatally wounded by our exceptional fighter. After that, he tries to shoot Zurab, but the boss of the mafia grabs Alma and says he will kill her. He offers Boyka options. Either to save Alma or kill Zurab. Reprimands Zurab after reluctantly hearing about the boycott. Because they didn't keep their promise, and just as the mafia boss was about to shoot, they didn't. Boyka Alma nibbles his hand, which allows our hero an opportunity to get. However, Zurab is still able to kill him by shooting him in the abdomen and Boyka attacks Zurab deep down despite the serious injury. He beats him so severely that he kills him. Boyka was detained shortly after the police arrived at the scene. Alma visits Boyka at the prison 6 months after the incident, where she tells him that she has finally forgiven him for killing her husband. Feeling much better, Boyka returns to his prior ways as the ruler of jail contenders, actually going for the gold of the most skilled warrior on the planet. Turn on notifications, please subscribe for more videos like this, and like the channel to support it. Thank you very much for watching.